So I've been seeing this debate explode all over social media. And honestly, it's wild how divided people are on this. Bakugo versus Reze, two of anime's most iconic explosion users going head to head, and the arguments are getting intense. The more I dug into this, the more I realized this isn't just about who hits harder. It's about whether human limits can overcome supernatural hacks. So I decided to break it down for you guys, because this matchup is way more complicated than most people think. Bakugo might land the perfect shot, howitzer impact at point-blank range, the kind of blast that vaporizes city blocks, and Reze could just grow her head back. That's the nightmare scenario for him. Not because he lacks firepower. Because firepower doesn't matter when your opponent drinks blood and regenerates from near death in seconds. Scenario 1. Bakugo's intelligence lets him figure out Reze's regeneration weakness before she wears him down. Scenario 2. Reze plays the long game, lets Bakugo exhaust himself chasing kills that won't stick, then closes in when his body's screaming for rest. One mistake, one moment where Bakugo assumes he's won because Reze's body is in pieces, and she's already behind him, limbs reforming, ready to detonate. This isn't about who hits harder. It's about whether Bakugo's human limits break before Reze's devil tricks run out. But if what fans suspect is true, if this comes down to raw one-on-one endurance, then we're watching peak human capability clash against something that was never meant to play fair. Bakugo's explosions operate on nitroglycerin sweat and precision timing. He's pushed his quirk to continental scale destruction at peak output fast enough to dodge light speed attacks, durable enough to tank 100% one-for-all backlash, and keep fighting. His intelligence is what separates him from simple powerhouses. He doesn't just blast. He calculates angles, predicts movement, adapts strategies mid-combat. Cluster explosions let him concentrate firepower into precision strikes. Howitzer impact creates destructive spirals that could level entire districts. He's trained against villains with regeneration, faced enemies who seemed invincible, and won through creative application of his abilities rather than brute force alone. Reze functions on different rules entirely. As a bomb devil hybrid, she's got delayed explosion mechanics, explosive limbs she can detach and detonate remotely, and the infamous headless decoy trick where she separates her head, lets enemies think she's finished, then regenerates while they're distracted. She's a martial artist first, explosive specialist second. Her combat style revolves around deception, making opponents think they've won, then striking when their guard drops. Drinking blood triggers her regeneration, letting her recover from injuries that would kill anyone without devil biology. She's survived dismemberment, massive trauma, conditions that would end a human instantly. In Chainsaw Man's world, that's standard hybrid durability, but dropped into My Hero Academia's universe, it's an unfair advantage that most quirk users have no counter for. The core question fans are debating is whether Bakugo's tactical genius can overcome Reze's biological immortality within the time limit his human stamina allows. He's still flesh and blood beneath the explosions. His sweat glands produce finite nitroglycerin. Extended combat drains him. Reze could theoretically outlast him through attrition, tanking hits that would kill her if she were human, regenerating, forcing Bakugo to expend more energy than he can sustain. But if Bakugo realizes regeneration requires blood access if he can trap her or destroy her capacity to recover faster than she can heal, his intelligence might give him the opening he needs. Bakugo's speed advantage could end the fight before Reze's hacks matter. If he blitzes at light speed combat velocity, something he's demonstrated against top-tier villains, Reze might not get the chance to activate her hybrid form or set up explosive traps. The fight could be over in seconds, a howitzer impact landing before she processes the threat, but that requires perfect execution. One miscalculation, one moment where Bakugo assumes raw power is enough, and Reze's combat experience lets her slip into close range where her martial arts and explosive limbs turn the tide. She's fought devil hybrids who move faster and hit harder than most MHA characters. Speed alone might not be the guaranteed win fans think it is. Reze's regeneration creates a war of attrition. Bakugo isn't built to win. Every injury she takes heals if she can access blood. Every limb Bakugo destroys regrows. Meanwhile, his body is accumulating damage. His sweat glands are depleting. His muscles are screaming from the strain of maintaining explosive output. The longer the fight goes, the more it favors Reze. She can afford mistakes because her biology corrects them. Bakugo can't. One solid hit from a delayed explosion, one moment where he's too exhausted to dodge, and the fight's over. That's the devil hybrid advantage. Not just power, but the ability to keep fighting past the point where human limitations would force surrender. The intelligence factor is where Bakugo might find his edge. He's faced regenerators before, Nomu, villains with healing quirks, and adapted by targeting weaknesses or overwhelming their recovery speed. If he figures out Reze's regeneration needs blood, he might shift tactics to environmental control, destroying her access to recovery resources, forcing her into a position where damage accumulates faster than she can heal. Reze is smart, but Bakugo's entire hero training revolves around analyzing opponents and exploiting gaps. If anyone can turn a biological disadvantage into a tactical opening, it's him. The question is whether he gets enough time to analyze before Reze's deception and explosive tricks put him down. Prep time and external factors could swing this fight wildly in either direction. Bakugo with full support gear, gauntlets that store extra sweat for massive explosions, equipment designed to enhance his already devastating output becomes a different threat entirely. He could potentially end the fight before Reze's regeneration becomes relevant, overwhelming her with firepower that exceeds what she's tanked in Chainsaw Man. But if Reze gets prep time, if she makes additional devil contracts, especially something like a Darkness Devil Pact that grants reality warping abilities, then Bakugo's fighting something his hero training never prepared him for. Devil contracts introduce hacks that bypass conventional power scaling. At that point, it's not about explosions versus explosions anymore. It's about whether Bakugo can survive abilities that rewrite the rules of combat entirely. The thematic clash matters as much as the power scaling. Bakugo represents human potential pushed to its absolute limit. Someone who took a straightforward quirk and refined it into an art form through intelligence, training, and relentless determination. Reze represents the cost of power gained through sacrifice. She's a weapon created by those who saw her as disposable, someone whose strength comes from losing her humanity. If Bakugo wins, it validates the idea that human ingenuity and willpower can overcome supernatural advantages. If Reze wins, it's a reminder that sometimes biology and hacks matter more than skill, that there are limits even genius can't overcome. Either outcome says something about what these series value. MHA's emphasis on growth and strategy versus Chainsaw Man's brutal acknowledgement that power often comes from things you can't train your way out of. If this fight really happens, if fans get to see Bakugo's tactical explosion mastery clash against Reze's regenerating bomb devil tricks, the outcome might not satisfy either side because both have legitimate win conditions. Bakugo could blitz her into oblivion before regeneration matters. Reze could outlast him and strike when his human limits catch up. The answer might depend less on who's stronger and more on who makes the first critical mistake. And in a battle between two explosion specialists where one error means death, that's the kind of razor-thin margin that makes debates like this so addictive. If the next chapter of this hypothetical matchup actually explores their abilities colliding, fans might finally get to see whether hero tactics or devil biology wins when both fighters are pushed to their absolute breaking points. If you're into detailed chapter breakdowns, raw theories, and hidden story meanings like this, consider subscribing. I break it all down every week.